What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. So we have some huge news right now coming out from PSA. I think this is very important to talk about today, especially if you grade cards and you do stuff like that. If you use middleman services and you send your cards off to somebody else to send them to a grading company like PSA, this was a very large company that we're going to talk about today that was building infrastructure throughout Europe. It was a UK-based company. It was labeled as PSA UK, and they had a formal relationship with PSA. So this just came out. I think it's very important to talk about, especially since I live in Europe and I have a lot of European people that come to the channel and ask me about grading cards and stuff like that. So I really want to get this news out and help. I also think from a US mindset, right, it's very important to understand who you trust and how you send your cards out. So that's what we're going to touch on today. So first and foremost, the news that came out from PSA, this is from their official Instagram. So it says, effective immediately, PSA is discontinuing their relationship with Ludkins Collectables. So I know a lot of you right now are probably asking, what is Ludkins Collectables? I've never heard of them, but a lot of people out there have. So that's what we're going to talk about. Right now, what I want to do is take you to the official statement. So if you want to read all of the comments, it provides more context. And a lot of customers who got scammed, you can actually go to PSA's Insta, bring up this post and read the comments yourself. But you can also go to their link tree in their bio, and that's where you can actually find the article that we're about to go over right now. So I do not want to read all of this in its entirety, but I basically want to get this out to you so you understand what happened and what's going on. So it says, Dear PSA UK collectors, this came out November 4th. So it says, effective immediately, PSA is discontinuing their relationship with Ludkins Collectables. Ludkins, which was known as Ludkins UK. Ludkins is no longer an authorized PSA dealer or allowed to use the name PSA UK. Ludkins has failed to pay PSA for its services, while PSA believes that Ludkins has already collected payment from its customers. So that's what a middleman does, right? So if I'm going to send cards out for people, typically I'm going to collect that money. I have a little surcharge where I'm going to grade people's cards. I might do some sort of cleaning service. It depends on what that middleman does, but essentially I'm going to make a profit off of sending people's cards into PSA for them. I get them back, and then I send them back to the customer. So that's what you do, but this is on a very mass scale. So right here it says, even though PSA has not been paid by Ludkins, all cards have been received by PSA. So what happened was all of the customers paid Ludkins Collectables to have their cards graded. Then when PSA finishes their grading process, they ask for a certain amount of money. Ludkins had refused to pay PSA for their services, which had faltered their relationship. So after that, now PSA did not want to send the cards back at first because obviously their services have not been paid for, so they would go without payment. So it says, furthermore, PSA offered to return the cards to Ludkins despite lack of payment. So that is a good part on PSA. I think that really shows how much they care about the customers because they really want to ensure that they get their cards back. So despite payment for mass services, they were going to send these cards back to Ludkins to ensure that, people who graded their cards still get their cards back, so that Ludkins could return the cards to the customers, which unfortunately was met with resistance and further demands. So Ludkins was still not going to return the cards. They wanted more. What that is not quite clear yet. And it says, our focus is now determining a safe path to return these cards to the rightful owners without Ludkins' involvement. Unfortunately, Ludkins has not shared any details with PSA on which cards belong to which customers, so PSA is currently unable to individually engage with Ludkins customers to return their cards directly. So they have to figure out who owns the cards in order to get them back to the rightful owner. So what they want to do right here, it says they want to do a disposition process that will allow PSA to take legal possession of the cards with the help of a third party, return them to the rightful owners, and they will provide timing updates in future communications. And they're not going to ask them to cover the grading charges, the grading fees and stuff like that, because they already paid Ludkins for the services. So the customers, in order to get their cards back, will only have to pay PSA return shipping, which is really thoughtful on PSA for what they are trying to do. So it says, looking ahead, we are making changes to increase the confidence in PSA and our dealer program to collectors in the UK and around the globe. If you are a customer of Ludkins and believe that you have cards that have not been returned, then please use this Google form link so that we can begin to collect information that will aid us in returning your cards. So if you do have cards of Ludkins right now, if you're anywhere in the EU, if you're anywhere in the UK and you want your cards back, go to Instagram, go to PSA's official Instagram, go to the link tree, look up this article, hit that Google form link, and then fill that out so you can try to get your cards back from PSA. So I really hope that helps somebody out there to provide the last piece of context for people out there who don't know what Ludkins is. This is their website, LudkinsCollectables.com. This is what they label it as, PSA, the world's #1 PSA grading service. Ludkins Collectables is a PSA authorized grading service. Now, at a glance, the website does look to be very, very nice. It says why grade with Ludkins. It says all this stuff right here, save time and money. We predict the grades, insurance like no other. So this is what they do. So that way you would send your cards to them. Zero chance of mixing cards up, custom secure packaging and customer sleeve protection. And it says cards we've graded for clients. So some big deal cards right here and a whole bunch of other stuff. You can look up their brochure. And right here, this is their brochure. It's a bunch of pages. And right here it says the future. So this was what they were trying to do. PSA UK is committed to building infrastructure within the UK and the EU. In time, our goal is to add our own grading facility. So they had a big dream, big plans. And as you read through some of the customer comments, you notice that some of the places that were actually trying to look at these cards and their facilities didn't have many representatives there. They probably had one person, very poor customer service. It seems like they're holding on to people's money. I do not know the full scope of the story, so I'm not here to really talk bad about the company. I'm just going solely based off what PSA has put out so far as a disclaimer to protect the customers, and so that way they can get their cards back. But I really hope that this helps a lot of people out there, and you kind of just think about who you're sending your cards to, no matter how big the company is or how small it is. Now, I'm not saying that you can't send your cards to a middleman if you really trust that person or your friend, but my personal opinion, I'll go ahead and give you a quick take on it. I send my cards in myself. I will never, ever, ever send my cards to anybody. I currently live in Europe myself. I send my cards directly into PSA myself. Now, there's different methods of insuring your cards, right? So you can look at your cards yourself. PSA gives you all of the stuff that you need to know as far as what their grades, how they look at cards as far as how they grade them. So that way you understand corners and dents and dings and whitening and all that stuff, what type of materials to put that in. A lot of YouTubers have videos on that stuff that can help you out. So that way you don't have to send your cards into somebody else to do it for you, because you're not really going to save a bunch of money. You're going to pay them for their services. So all you would have to do is pay $100 a year to PSA for a member service. That way you can go ahead and grade your cards. And this way you're going to have a peace of mind. When you're insuring your cards, you can insure them on the way out through the postal company. You can get some sort of special collectible insurance if you choose to. And then whatever tier you're paying for, right, PSA is going to insure those cards on the way back to you. So I would never send my cards to any middleman, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen to your cards, right? You don't know if you're going to get them back. You don't know what that person's intentions are. I mean, the stuff could get lost. How are they going to compensate for it, especially if they're small time? And then you also have people that like to swap cards out, right? We have the same card and it might be a small nick or a small ding that you maybe have missed. You're not a professional, and that person may be swapping those cards out. So hopefully that I get the 10 and you get like a 7 or a 9 or an 8, right? So you never know. You get a peace of mind, send your own cards in, learn how to do it, send them out, get your cards back. And I really hope that that helps a lot of people out there. It is not hard. It is not difficult to send cards into a grading service. It takes a little bit of time, a little bit of money and effort, but you can all do it. I promise it's not hard. I hope this really helped a lot of you out there and understand the context of the video. If you have some comments, if you've been scammed by this, if you have any sort of experience about this, just let me know. Drop a comment. If you like the content, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll be back soon with another video, and I'll see y'all later. Out.